Hey you guys, and welcome back to After Hours with Jake. Today is such an exciting episode because today we are going to be conversating with none other than the creative director and founder of By Way of Dallas, Hance Taplin. Hance has taken his apparel line to the next step and taken our city by force by putting Dallas on the map, literally. I'm excited to get down to the nitty-gritty and find out who Hance is after hours. All right, so let's get down to it. Who is Hance Taplin?
I'm still trying to figure that out myself. It's always an interesting question thinking about that even internally. Like, I always continue to want to learn and grow, and every day I learn something new. I feel like, even if I'm just on my computer designing or whatever. But I guess just to answer that question, like, I'm just a curious dude, who just wants to try to figure it out and just wants to have a good time, and just make a difference and just fulfill what I personally want to do,
Absolutely.
within the community, world, family, all that stuff. Just take opportunities and just go for them.
Absolutely.
Just do it.
So tell us a little bit about where you're from.
Originally from Denver, Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Born and raised there. It's I hate the snow, hate the cold weather, but then I hate the heat.
Oh.
I'm just like this guy.
There's no good medium.
There isn't,
no.
Unless you live in I shouldn't say LA. I like LA. LA's fine, but I love Dallas, but the cold weather in Denver just drives me nuts. It's brutal. I just hate the snow.
Uh-huh.
But Denver's good.
You still have family in Denver?
I have a little bit of family in Denver. I have family kind of spread everywhere. I have a pretty small family. I have family in New York, family in Denver, family here in Texas. So it's a nice little.
So I'm curious, what brought you to Dallas?
Oh man, Dallas was kind of almost an accident. After I graduated from college in West Texas, I went to Abilene Christian University. I was actually on my way to New York City after I graduated from college. My sister lived in New York, and she's in the fashion industry, and being interested in that world, that's where I thought I had to go. That's where I thought I had to be. I was like, everyone's like, man, I gotta go.
That's kind of like the pinnacle.
It's the pinnacle.
Yeah.
What I think is the pinnacle. What I thought was the pinnacle, and I had a chance. My first gig, kind of little project, was based in New York City. Harlem actually, and it was great, and I was like, that's where I have to be. And then after college, I came to Dallas. My mom was living here, and I was like, you know what? I applied for a couple jobs, and I got the dream job, out of college, as being a designer at a small design firm. I was like, this is it. Something was telling me you need to stay here, and you need to establish your roots here in Dallas, because you can go to New York City, and you can go to these different coastal cities that are glamorous, but I feel like it wasn't much of a challenge in a way. Like, people say, if you can't make it in New York, you can't make it anywhere. I say, if you can't make it in Dallas, you can't make it anywhere. Because there's when you have not much, I shouldn't say not much happening, but in Dallas, it's such a open, free market, and just there's opportunities everywhere. And
I feel like it hasn't been taken yet.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And even yourself, even
in the beauty industry.
Who thinks of Dallas as could be a driving force in the beauty industry, which is the largest industry, I believe, growing industry right now, it's health and beauty.
Beauty.
If you can establish those roots and make a brand for yourself here in Dallas, that's more valuable to yourself and to me and everybody than starting it where there's a ton of competition around you. So
Absolutely. And a lot of big names. Think about what you have in New York as far as fashion. The designers that you have coming out of New York. I feel a lot of fashion, what I've learned is that a lot of fashion comes from Europe, and then it kind of trickles down into the States. That's where it starts. You got Tokyo, you got Japan. I feel like they're way ahead of us in the fashion industry. So it kind of trickles its way down, and Dallas is the last place.
Absolutely.
It's gonna land.
Yeah.
So by way of Dallas, I guess going into that conversation, what made you want to start that, and what was your driving force, and what was kind of that motivation behind building something as unique as what you've built?
So I was, from day one, I was a creative director, of Center in Mockingbird Station. 2007, when the store opened, April 2007, those first 2 years, that store wasn't making any money at all. It was one of the first in the city. There were two others. There was Attic, shout out to Darren,
Attic, yeah.
love Attic. There was Passport.
Blackburn, right?
Absolutely. There was Passport Exhibit Gallery by a guy named, I believe his name is Brian. But the streetwear community was very small. The sneaker culture was growing at the time, but it certainly at that time obviously wasn't what it is now. So at that time, Center was just this concept, this store that was just kind of an anomaly. Like, it was an enigma. Nobody really knew what was going on. It was fresh and it was new. So to answer your question, I started designing, Center / Dallas private label stuff for that store. And it was flying off the shelves faster than any of like the Nike products, any of the, all the stuff that we had in stock. So it was like, you know what? There's something to this. Obviously, there's a lot of pride for Dallas and for Texas in general, but
We love our city.
we love our city. We really do. And I think that's, most markets, but I was like, you know what? After I kind of, when I moved on from Center, I literally said, you know what? I've got to continue this in a different way and put my own spin on it. So around that time, after I left Center, that's when I decided that I need to fulfill my destiny for Dallas to continue like this project and give Dallas a brand through the lens of apparel.
Absolutely. And see, the famous latitude and longitude that you have printed on a lot of your jackets, where is that centered? Is that in the center of Dallas? Is that...
I love that question because people really do think that those are the coordinates of Dallas. Those coordinates do point to a spot in Dallas, but those particular coordinates is a spot that's very special to me. Like, it completely changed my life, this particular moment. So if anybody were to like look up those coordinates and go visit that spot, it's nothing like, crazy. It's just, I had always remember that spot, and just a part of design and branding, I needed like I wanted to include that in some way. So in a sense, it does represent Dallas, but it's also very special to me.
Absolutely. It's more, I feel like it has more meaning behind it because it's a pinnacle of you and something that represents something that's really close to you. It's the same thing with the Mod Lab. A lot of people question, well, why the Mod Lab? Why would you name your business that? Well, I used to make, when I was first getting out of hair school, I wasn't making a lot of money. I was trying to build my clientele, so I started making jewelry. And I called them Jewelry Mod Junk.
Interesting.
Which was like modern take on junk. And I actually custom made pieces, earrings and necklaces. And that's what I would do as a side hustle to help make money to pay my booth rent and to help get me through building my clientele. So the reasoning behind my brand and the name was something that not a lot of people knew of.
Interesting.
It was the jewelry line that I had, obviously it was a big failure, but once I started building clientele, there was no need for it anymore.
Right.
One
thing I love about the name Mod Lab, it's very important about branding. It's simple, it's easy to remember. It's a lot of brands have a ton of, all this extra stuff and all these explanations. Like, no, just keep it short and sweet and simple.
Yeah.
Mod Lab is easy to remember and it'll last for a long time because it just hits the senses. It's 6 letters. It's Mod Lab. That's it. Mod Lab.
Mod Lab.
It's good.
Yeah.
Mod Lab.
So challenges. Obviously, as an entrepreneur, we both know we face those challenges every day.
Yeah.
Our job and title is just problem solving all day, fixing problems and handling this and handling that. It's a lot of problem solving. So what do you feel has been a big game changer for you, and what are some of the things that you've, some of the sacrifices that you've had to give up, or some of the obstacles that you faced in the course of building by way of Dallas?
Money.
Yeah.
Money sucks. And, everything we make is, and this is kind of more of a general thing. I can go back and talk more about some of the more specifics, but for us, we have, everything we make is cut and sew. I'd have to say 95% of things, no, everything we do is cut and sew at this point. So when you're dealing with your factories, we've got 3 factories we work with, every sample is like $500. Like everything is like $500. It's annoying. Even to make a little small change or something, you got to remake the sample. So it's like, and that's just on like a product that we might, release that is, $150. 3 samples is the cost of just one. It just adds up.
Absolutely.
So capital is really important. I've learned a lot about how to manage that and manage time. And then the second thing, like the biggest challenge is really honestly myself, because I'm such a particular perfectionist. So I always want everything to be absolutely perfect. And my sister's my partner, and she's always on my ass about, look man, chill, it doesn't have to be perfect, nobody knows what it's supposed to look like. I'm like, but that font is just a little tad too big. And she's like, yo, nobody cares, just release it. And I'm like, no. But it's a blessing to have those particular challenges. It's an experience,
But I feel like that's what makes your story unique. I mean, I had a conversation, on my very first episode when we talked about a common misconception of people who look at me and what's the biggest misconception of me. And my parents, they've built this beautiful empire from the ground up. They're lawyers, they have law firms all over Texas. And a lot of people think that it was handed, that my success was handed.
Interesting.
And what's crazy is that anything handed to you has no value. You have to be able to work through it. And I feel like what has built my brand has been the failures, has been hitting obstacles and being able to overcome them and move forward from them. And then just overall, like the exclusivity of what we do and what our brand represents, which is going to get me into my next question with By Way of Dallas. You are very exclusive. Every piece that you release, there's a limited amount of pieces that you release. Why is that?
Well, I don't even consider, the first thing you think of when you think of that exclusivity and those limited pieces is the streetwear realm of things. I'm not doing that on purpose. Again, it's like I can't afford to manufacture and risk thousands of pieces, and if I don't sell thousands of pieces, I'm sitting on inventory. Inventory that's sitting is what's causing people's businesses to burn and to crash. It's like that's the problem with malls and retail nowadays is inventory that's just sitting there. It's and even waste. So for us, it's like we not only do we want to risk producing a lot, but at the same time, I don't necessarily need to see everybody wearing By Way of Dallas.
We have some big celebrity clientele. I mean, you got Erykah Badu, you have DJ Sober, very well known. I mean, what are some other people on the roster that have? Me. No.
There you go. Absolutely, Jake.
It's funny because when you dropped the D Magazine collab, the red varsity jacket.
You got 2, yeah.
I got 2. I ordered one online, but I actually was working that Saturday, and I sent my assistant.
I remember that.
I was like, you gotta be there. I was like, I'm gonna clock you in as soon as you leave your house, but I need you to go and I need you to buy this jacket.
I think she was first in line, actually.
Probably, yeah. And it was funny because she was like, there's so many men here. I was on the phone with her the whole time, like, try on that jacket, send me pictures. But I think for me, as a consumer, it's the exclusivity that makes it unique. I want to be able to have that in my closet and say, you know what? There's not a lot of pieces out here. I have one.
Yeah, I like it, but I hate it because, I used to be that kid who couldn't get the exclusive drops, whatever, and I would get pissed off. And then our consumer, everybody who deals with this will get that, email or that direct message or that comment that's like, you need to release more, and I feel bad. It's really not, I'm not trying to be that jerk brand that's like, no, it's only for certain people, no. Yeah. But literally, like, to be able to build a brand and keep it going, you have to kind of have that type of exclusivity and that limited pieces. It just works hand in hand.
Yeah.
And then as we progress, we'll start producing more and more as we, get.
But I also feel like it makes wearing it, as like I said again, as a consumer, I feel like being able to wear that out, it just makes it's more of a statement piece. Every piece that I have of yours, it's a statement piece. I will put it with something that's very simple, very chic, and boom, you got the varsity jacket. That's like, bam, like people notice that.
Yeah.
They see that. So the design concept that you have and your ideas, where do you get your motivation from? Where do you get your inspiration whenever you come up with these amazing designs?
You actually said it perfect. I want them to be statement pieces that you're gonna hold on to, that you're gonna be able to wear 5-10 years from now. They have to be classic. I always say to myself, like, I'm not trendy, but I'm trend aware. You know, I know what people are purchasing and people are buying and what looks good for right now. Like materials, reflective material, like that's kind of where we started with some of our first things. That was very trendy, but I think at the same time it's functional. So it's gonna last for a long time. But mainly inspiration for me is like, you know, just I'm from a corporate design background. I love simple, I love typography, I love, you know, I'm obsessed with I guess typography and shapes and colors. So I keep it simple in contrast to what I'm wearing. There's all kind of crazy stuff going on. However, I'm really into just like core clean design.
Absolutely, very minimal.
Very minimal.
And you don't need a big range of design. Everything you have, like, it's very simple. Like even your the sweater with the neon longitude and latitude, it's simple. It's black, it's a nice hoodie, and then it's like boom, you got this pop, and it just stands out to people. And I feel like that's what By Way of Dallas represents. It's those statement pieces that you want to wear and you want to show off because you want everything around it to be so simple.
Right.
I mean, that's why I am such a big fan of your brand and what you've created. Not only because you represent our city, but also because the pieces are so unique that they stand out. You know, I like that. Overall, I think building something from the ground up can be very difficult. I mean, of course, we've already talked about your obstacles and things that we've ran into, even as entrepreneurs. What is one thing that you can tell people that you've learned on this journey and something that can inspire them if they are taking the same route or they're interested in the fashion industry or they're, you know, feeling a little bit insecure about taking that, you know, step forward? What is one piece of advice that you can give to someone?
I think it's just understanding how to take criticism, and I'm sure you've dealt with this yourself.
Yeah.
Where it's you. I mean, in college, we actually had courses where we had to understand that criticism isn't supposed to attack you personally. Even if somebody does try to attack you personally, take that stuff and
use it as fuel.
Yeah, use it as fuel, but really listen to what people are saying. However, in contrast, actually may not make any sense of what I'm about to say. Don't listen to anybody. Like, do what you want to do. You know.
Yeah.
I was told a million times that I need to change the name. I need to like do all this stuff and blah 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 blah, and I can make all this money by cool. I get that. That's great. But you know what? I'm gonna do what I want to do, and when you do what you want to do, it just shows confidence, and it just helps the whole process, you know, and just helps you stay on a path that you really want to be on and stay on. Yeah. You know,
keeping your eye on that destination, I think it's really important.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love everything that you've built. Like I said, you're changing the game. You're making a name for Dallas in the fashion industry, and that's something that it's funny because I was talking with someone at Black Market, and I told him I feel like he's the Dallas Virgil, you know what I mean? And I know you get it all the time if you are him. It's funny, I was reading a little bit on it, but I just think it's interesting what you've built, and I love it, and I'm excited to see what's to come. I'm excited.
Me too, because sometimes I don't even know. I'm like, oh goodness, yeah. What's next?
What's next?
Yeah.
We'll see. Chance to have a great walk, and we talked a lot about your brand. We talked a lot about how it was cultivated, some motivation behind it, inspiration. Mm-hmm. I want to give people a chance to figure out who you are. So besides By Way of Dallas, besides, you know, everything that you have curated and you've built, you're also a father.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
I'd love to know a little bit more about your son and about your, fatherhood and how that's changed you.
That's a great question. He's 5 years old. Will be 5 years old next week, and I've always wanted to be a father. As a young age, I knew, maybe because my dad was such a great dad, I just knew. You have a lot of people that say, I don't want kids. They're afraid, but I've got this amazing child that has really helped shape and motivate me to continue to progress. He has no idea what I do. Mm-hmm. He's, he has a clue maybe, but he's still at that age where he's just all about Legos and,
toys
iPad
and just curious about the world and figuring out who he is.
Absolutely. So I'm very open to what Byway Dallas is to him. Like, I work amongst him. He comes to shoots and things like that, but maybe it's not quite instilled in him, but at some point he'll understand, what dad does and why I stay home every day and I don't put on a suit and tie and go somewhere, so. But no, he's incredible. I will say, like, when I found out I was having a child, I was freaked out.
Of course.
And I love meeting and talking to people, or especially guys who are expected fathers. One of my best friends that I grew up with through college, he just had his first child on the 1st of November. I could tell he was freaked out. And I literally be like, look, man, I know it's hard. You've got all this pressure. You think you got to have all this money saved up. You have to, all this stuff. But it's really just like,
learning.
It's easy. It's learning. And I don't want to say, it is kind of simple. It's just like, if you're not an idiot, you just do what you got to do to keep this child alive.
Absolutely.
One day at a time.
I feel like everyone has that in them. And for me, same thing. When I found out I was pregnant, I was 19 years old. I was scared out of my mind. I had no idea what I was going to do. I didn't even have a path of a career that I wanted. I was actually in the fashion industry. I graduated from Art Institute of Dallas. And I was working as an intern, as an assistant buyer. And when I found out I was pregnant, I was like, okay, I have to give this up. And I feel like that's a big problem with young parents, or even not even young parents, but they feel like they have to give up their dreams in order to be, a parent, because they have this person that's dependent on them, and they are so stuck on that security.
Right.
How has that shaped, has that ever scared you as a father? Like, what if this doesn't make it? Or, have you ever looked for different outlets to make sure that you are secure in what you're building for your son and your legacy?
Well, absolutely. I mean, by the way, Dallas it is my main thing. Absolutely, it's my main focus. But when you have somebody to take care of, you've got to figure out different hustles to be able to cover income and things like that. So when I found out about Cruise, I was going back and forth. I was living in New York City, Dallas in 2 weeks, New York City in 2 weeks. I was doing that for a very long time.
Wow.
For work. So that was one of the sacrifices I did have to do is completely cut off what I was doing out in New York and come back to Dallas, obviously to be here for him and focus solely on building something not only for myself but for him, more of a foundation moving forward.
Yeah.
To be, his dad, I had to be here.
You wanted to leave a legacy.
Yeah.
Make
absolutely.
your mark and have something to leave behind. That's, my purpose. Damien might not want to be a hairstylist. He might not, I don't know what route he's going to take, but me building what I'm building, I want him to be secure in his future.
Absolutely.
And I think that was a lot of my driving force of why I felt so adamant about starting as young as I was. I was 25 years old when I opened up my first salon.
Incredible.
I was in a waist-deep pool of fear. I had no idea what I was doing, but you take that leap of faith, and you're just like, you know what? I'm going to make this happen. Whatever happens outside of that, it's fate.
Absolutely.
It's organic. And,
absolutely.
Speaking of organic, right now, this coffee shop that we're in, that's where we officially, I know we met before that, when I went into the store to Center, but we actually ended up meeting here organically.
Absolutely, yeah.
I had just walked in with my PR for a quick meeting and got a message.
Yeah, I was sitting right over there, and obviously you follow us, we follow you, and you've pretty much purchased everything we've ever released. So and I remember our customers' names. I ship everything out from my kitchen table at my house. I don't have any big warehouses, just from my house. So put a, okay, it was kind of like, is that her? But I was like, no, I think that is her. And so
I had no makeup on, and I was wearing workout clothes.
I sent her the message like, hey, Jake, whatever. I said, I'm over here. Come say hi before you leave. And then I watched, and you kind of looked at me like, what? What's going on? And I was like waving like a little 2-year-old little kid, and you're like, oh, hey. But yeah, life happens like for me all the time, organic situations. Nothing is really forced where you're at the right place at the right time. And that's just the type of energy that has always been worked well for me, you know? And so that was really important, that moment. And I think we even said like, this means something, the fact that we're here at the same time, you know? And not just based on this, even for the future, like who knows what we'll collaborate on, or, you know, where that will lead. Just literally being at Halcyon at the same exact time, you know, that was supposed to happen.
It was raw, it was organic, and we sat there for like almost 2 hours had passed, and we were like, oh my goodness, like, oh, I gotta go, you know, we got things to do. It was interesting to me. But, you know, kind of piggybacking off that, you know, building relationships with people, especially in your industry, can be difficult. What type of obstacles have you gone through, like, say, you know, not even like friendships or things that you've seen along the way? On, you know, are you particular with people that you allow in? Are you particular with, you know, how have those relationships shaped you as a person and also building your brand?
Absolutely, that's a great question as well. I'm very particular around whom I work with, because mainly I want to work with people who aren't the greatest photographers, who aren't the greatest designers. I like to teach them what I'm doing, and I like to help show them how to do things correctly, because that's how I started. And I want to be that person that people are looking for when I was their age or wherever they were. It's like, well, who is that person that's going to not just show me on paper, okay, follow these steps, but actually help guide them and say, hey, like, this is really how you do things correctly. So I really don't have, honestly, I don't have many friends at all. I don't, it's not on purpose. It's because I'm just very selective on how I spend my time. I think that's very valuable. People don't really understand that, like having a group, positive, you know, circle of people only helps yourself and helps them. You know, I randomly got connected with a girl who kind of interns for us. She has zero skill set. She sent me she created an Instagram account just so she could send Byway of Dallas a message, and she said, hey, Byway of Dallas, will you collaborate with me? She made this awful like jersey that she sewed. It was like a Texas Rangers sleeve with Dallas Stars, and like it was just awful. I was like, this is terrible. But I said, shoot me a DM, and she did. And easily I should have been like, no, your work is really bad. But I knew that she had that drive to like literally create an IG, because she wasn't on social media. She's like 24 years old. Like, what 24-year-old do you know doesn't on social media? That's that's one thing. I was like, there's something very special about this person. But even as that progressed and we actually met up, I told her, I was like, we're not collaborating on anything. Who are you? What do you want to be? And then as that organically happened, that conversation turned into she's one of the smartest people I've ever met, especially for her age. And she has a lot of talent outside of what she presented. And I think I helped her realize that. But those organic relationships are really, really valuable.
And kind of breaking down the walls, like you don't understand, like even the people in your circle, like what you do to them, how you inspire them, just building what you're building, you know. And when as I hire at the salon, I don't look for a great resume. I don't look for a certain background or the school that they went to. I really don't care. Do you want to learn? And how bad do you want this?
Absolutely.
Because if you want it bad enough, you're going to soak up everything that I have to give you. And you're basically going to clone yourself, which eventually is the goal. You want to have a group and a team and be able to collaborate with people who are like-minded. And by doing that, you're kind of opening yourself up and being vulnerable by allowing these people in.
Right.
You know, have you ever had an experience along the way where you've kind of allowed someone in and it kind of backfired on you?
Actually, no. Nothing that I can think of. I think I've got friends who are really close, and we've kind of drifted apart. But I think whatever those reasons wasn't because of anything that went wrong. I think it's just a different path, and at some point we'll probably meet again. But fortunately enough, I haven't had a terrible experience working with somebody and it's just backfired and I have an enemy. Absolutely not.
Good.
I think you take those opportunities as slow as possible, and you know, it's been great so far, knock on wood, you know.
Yeah. So kind of piggybacking on relationships, you're also a partner, you're a boyfriend. Tell me a little bit about your girlfriend. Like, how did you guys meet?
Oh man, so I stalked her on DM, on IG. I'm not even lying. Not in a sense of like a negative sense, but like I don't get out too much. One of my friends was following her, and you know, like the algorithms where your friend likes a picture and it pops up on your Explorer feed just because you're friends with that person. Her picture popped up, and a few times, like within a month or so, and I like, you know, I archived it and I saved it, right? Mm-hmm. And then as time progressed, I started looking at this picture, and not necessarily stalking, but I would go to her profile and like, oh, this person, she's into this, and that. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm into that stuff too. Like I do a lot of design work with Nike, and she really loves Nike, and just all these things just kind of lined up, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna hit her up. And then I shot her a DM. It was very strategic though. Like it wasn't just like, hey, what's up? You look good. But I was like, she's into like working out and going to the gym and doing all these things. And I was developing a performance fabric that I was really giving out to friends in the fitness industry. I was like, hey, I've got this. I got a brand. I've got this shirt. You know, let me know if you want one. You know, to try whatever. Which was true. But my intentions were to like see if she wanted to have coffee. Yeah. She took the bait. So. We literally met up for the first time, and from there, it was cool. You know, we started to get to know each other,
and it's beautiful. It's beautiful how you can, meet someone and then organically it just evolves into something that's bigger and greater and something that you don't even expect. I love that. I kind of see you guys. I've looked at her page, and I love. It's almost like just this chemistry that you guys just flow. Yeah. And I like that. So, hobbies. Obviously, we're entrepreneurs. We work 24/7. We never stop. Mentally, it's just an ongoing. You're always thinking and doing and, thinking about the next step and the next move. But when you turn that off and you decide to get out and have fun, or you decide to step out, what is your idea of fun? What are the hobbies? What do you do outside of your brand, outside of being a father?
Oh, man. So that's really tough because my brand really was a hobby. And it kind of still is a hobby. I feel like I got to continue to treat it like a hobby, because once I take it too serious and it becomes a job, then that is a problem for me. But I understand the question, and I don't do anything. Do I not do anything? I love. There's certain. I just love the design. I sound like a nerd, but I really love being behind my computer and coming up with concepts and creating. And really losing my mind through an idea and trying to place where I can make this idea happen. But at the same time, I still love to shoot, as far as with my camera.
I know photography was something that was still a part of your brand, your marketing. You're behind the camera as well.
Absolutely. I shoot 90% of this stuff. Sometimes I let my really good friend Reed, he's an amazing photographer, he'll shoot some stuff for me. In fact, just this Mavericks campaign we just released was shot by a guy named Colin, who was, amazing. But at the same time, I will shoot most of the, of the campaigns and such, just because it's a skill set that I know how to do, and I know how I want it shot, and also to save on budget. Because
true,
I respect, photographers and videographers, what their worth is, but sometimes it's just not on budget for us. So just to have the ability to be able to shoot and design just kind of helps overall with costs and such.
Well, I think at the same time too, when you're behind the camera, you know exactly what you want to see.
Yeah.
So you know exactly what angle and what range and how you want it to look. So it's great because it's cost effective, but at the same time, like, what kind of got you into photography? What was it about being behind the camera that made you so intrigued?
That's a really great question too, and this is a really goofy answer, and this is a true story. In high school, for some reason my high school offered you can either take biology or you can take photography. I was like, what the hell? That didn't make any damn sense. Like, I'm gonna take photography, and I did. I know nothing about biology, but I knew I wasn't gonna be a biochemist or anything like that. So, I took photography, which was all film. There's no digital cameras even invented. Yes, I am old. at the
Oh,
time.
God.
So having that interest in composition and aesthetic was like, it was cool. I put photography down. Actually, I'm lying. In college, I studied photography overseas. I spent most of my senior year overseas doing on-site photography. It was easy there because
Where overseas?
Rome. We lived in. We started in Oxford. Then we were in Spain. We were in Granada. Then we ended in Rome. But that was easy. It's like every cathedral is beautiful. So you just pull out your camera and boom. You know, it's not much of a challenge. But to answer your question, what I really want to say is like, I used to DJ through college. Like, I love, hip hop, all that stuff. But so like, earn extra money. I used to DJ house parties. I had, I still have all my violin at home. I was a turntablist. Like, I loved to DJ, and so that was a hobby. And then when I moved to Dallas, I had all my records and all this stuff, my turntables, and I was like, looking around, I was like, I'm good. I'm not trying to be a club DJ. Like, I love what DJ Nero does. I love what DJ Sober does. Like, I love Tyrone Smiley, M. Night, all those dudes. I looked at them, I was like, I'm not trying to do that. You guys got it. So I literally sold my turntables on Craigslist for my first digital camera. And I was like, I gotta trade this hobby for another. When I sold them, I literally picked up that camera, and that's how I started shooting and started getting back into photography from a digital aspect.
Well, I mean, it almost came natural. Like, even looking at Dallas is Dallas, like looking at some of those like shots, and it comes natural. Like, you just have kind of like that eye for it. Not everybody has that kind of creative eye. I mean, I can easily walk out and kind of take a picture of the street, and but it's not going to be the same. Like, you kind of know those angles, and it's really important on a creative aspect when it comes to marketing. You know what angle you want to push it. You know how you want your brand overall to look, and consistency. It's brand consistency.
Absolutely.
So I think consistency is key when you're building that. There's a certain look you want to portray.
And it goes hand in hand with what, Mod Lab and what your consumer wants and what you're producing. If I go into Mod Lab and if I can't get that same consistent look that I had last time that I visited, I'm going somewhere else. So brand consistency is just, it for any market or whatever you're doing is so important.
Absolutely. So I have a question.
Yeah.
And that question is, I want to give our viewers a little bit of an insight and a little bit of depth outside of your brand. Whenever you turn off the lights, whenever you close up shop, whenever your creative mind kind of comes to an end for the day, and you close that laptop, who are you after hours?
It's kind of weird. When I'm not on my computer, my laptop, I'm making really stupid jokes that I always think in the back of my mind, like, one day I'm gonna do some stand-up comedy. And I know I'm never gonna do that, but I literally
you never know.
I literally love thinking of stupid things, like what I mentioned to you about the whole iPhone case situation. I'm really inspired by Larry David and Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah.
My dad introduced me to Seinfeld years ago, and then as that progressed to Larry started in Curb and all that stuff, I just love his stupid, witty circumstances that he gets into, and they're just so real life, and a lot of those things happen to me too. But after hours, I'm really, really kind of a goofy jokester type person. Even my friends are like, bro, stop calling me. Like, okay, I get it. It's funny. Just chill.
Yeah.
And I just keep going because I have an older sister. And I'm the youngest, and so most of the times the youngest are just goofy and just do stupid stuff because our parents allowed us to do that. You know, so that's more of who I am. Is very just trying to laugh. Even though I have a poker face. Everybody's like, why are you so mad? I'm like, I'm not mad, I'm just poker face.
I'm thinking, I'm going,
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I cannot tell you how grateful I am that you've taken time out of your day. I understand you could be in front of the computer, you could be creating some amazing things right now, but you took the time to sit with me and give people a chance to figure out who you are, talk a little bit about your brand. I know whatever is coming next is amazing, and I'm so excited, and I know the viewers are super excited to see it as well. Thank you again for joining us, and I cannot wait to show you guys Hance Taplin.
Well, thank you so much. It really is an honor for you to ask me to do this, because I like to do things like this, and there's been opportunities to do, and I turn down a lot of stuff, but this is so organic, and it's really what I needed to do, and honestly to get to know yourself more. So thank you very much.
All right, thanks so much.
Cool.